Well then, you better understand one thing here.
Go on, tell me.
Next time you ignore to do your chores, then we will get a divorce.
Oh my.
You'd be in trouble if we get a divorce, right? You have no other family and you're a loner, right?
I have no other family and I'm a loner, huh? I see how it is. My husband, Fred, placed the divorce papers on the table in front of me confidently.
Oh, so it is all filled out. Wow, it's true.
Our kids looked at each other and instantly began to take action.
Huh?
Our kids snatched the divorce papers in their hands quickly. You want to divorce me, right?
Huh? Oh, yeah, that's right. If you're going to skip and ignore to do any house chores, I'm divorcing you.
Fine.
Huh?
Let's get a divorce. My name is Judy. I've been married to my husband Fred for 25 years. We have been blessed with 2 children. To say that my husband is an old-fashioned person sounds too good to be true. He is a quiet man who supports his family as the main breadwinner of the family. But actually, he's the type of person who nags and forces me to go to work. And he is also the type of person who also makes me take care of everything about the house, including doing all the house chores. Fortunately, before marrying Fred, I lived on my own for a long time and worked hard to save money. So it was not really hard for me to take care of the house. And above all, I thoroughly devoted myself to housework for the sake of our children, Jack and John. Thanks to my efforts, both Jack and John grew up to be successful adults. And last year, the younger one, John, left home to live on his own. I was a stay-at-home mom until both of our kids reached middle school. The reason for this being that it was simply because Fred wanted me to be a stay-at-home mom. After graduating from university, I worked at a publishing company for a long time, but when I was in my 20s, both my parents passed away one after the other. Losing both of my parents and as an only child, I had no other families and I was left all alone in this world. If my parents had any siblings, we might have had a chance to get to know each other as a family. But both of them didn't have any sisters or brothers, and both of my grandparents also had passed away. I was really all alone. And that was when I met my husband. He came in as I was smoking a cigarette in the smoking room, and he began to refill the vending machines for drinks. Then, seeing me, he approached me with a bottle of drink.
This is a new product that our company will come up with at the end of the month. If you wouldn't mind it, would you like to try it?
Oh, thank you very much, I will. This was how we first met, and that was how our first conversation went. But after meeting several times, we became pretty close, and this developed into a relationship. And then I learned that he had a dream. When I heard about his dream, I felt that I really wanted to support him from the bottom of my heart. His dream was to become a novelist. I had the opportunity to read one of the work he had written, and I thought that it was quite good for his first novel. Since I worked in a publishing company, I told him that I would talk to his editor about possibility of publishing his work, but he stubbornly refused. As I thought that him thinking that was a waste, I felt he had great talent, and I became more and more attracted to him. And over time, we got married, and 25 years have passed since then. However, he never made it big as a novelist. I found out that what he had written was actually written by a friend of my husband's. I found out about that when my younger son was just 5 years old. I heard about the novel, which was published from another publishing company, because it was getting popular. So I read it to know what the hype was, and found that it was exactly the same as the one my husband had shown me. At that time, I finally understood that my husband had tricked me about it. If this was all true, I would have accused him of plagiarism, but I didn't. I would never do that because, actually, Fred had never written a novel since we got married. I could immediately feel and determine that Fred had plagiarized the work. But by this time, our kids had already been born. And my husband, for some reason, kept me from becoming a publisher and made me quit my work at the publishing company. But I decided to turn a blind eye to that, as long as our kids would grow up with no problem. I am beyond grateful that my husband and I got married and that we were able to have kids. But to be honest, this marriage has been a difficult one for me. My husband basically forced me to quit my job and made me become a full-time housewife. But he is the one who still controls the family finance. So, my husband gives me the money for living expenses, but for the past 25 years, I have received only $500 a month for living expenses. Saving money is not hard, but it would be impossible to cover food and utilities for a family of 4 with only that amount. I have tried several times to negotiate with Fred about it, but he insists that he can't give me more than the amount he's been giving me, and couldn't get anywhere with the negotiation. So, I began to use my savings I made before I married Fred, and used it mainly on our kids. I got vegetables that were on sale and meat that were half-priced in grocery stores for Fred's meals only, and cooked meals for him with those ingredients as a way of showing how I would oppose to his arguments. Once I got the cheap ingredients from the grocery stores, I would put them immediately into the freezer. I am sure that the quality and the taste wouldn't be that good as compared to the normal ones, but once I do that, I would feel much more at ease. Of course, I made sure that our kids ate well. The savings I have before I married Fred were for our kids. But the $300,000 that I had as my savings were gone as soon as my younger son graduated from college. I am truly relieved that I was able to spend my savings without our kids having to feel that it was never enough for them. I think my husband was really selfish. He had forced me to quit my job and focus on house chores. But when the kids started middle school, he insisted that I work. But I was reluctant to do so. It wasn't because I didn't want to work. I actually did want to work. But it was because I couldn't forgive my husband's selfishness at all. I knew that if I started working here, he would stop providing any of his money for the family. He would spend the money he earned on whatever he wanted to do with it, as if it was all for his own. I just couldn't allow Fred to do that. But when my husband saw me reluctant about his suggestion, he began to say such horrible things like removing me from his support system. I truly hated the fact that he was so selfish. But it turned out to be actually a good thing for me. Now that I'm off his support system, no matter how much money I earn from my work, Fred will never know how much I'd earn. And my husband goes to work early in the morning and doesn't come home until late at night. Even if I start working, he will probably never find out. And in the end, he still never found out that I was actually working. And I think it kind of helped that my husband was a man who only cared about himself. He was also oblivious about things like pension and so on. If he wasn't so oblivious, then he'd know that there was no way we could afford it all just with $500. Now that both our kids left our home, now it was my time to spend time and live my life with my husband. But I couldn't imagine such future with Fred. So I had thought of getting a divorce with my husband once the kids were married. But just as I was thinking about that, I got hospitalized. It all started when I went to the hospital for an annual medical checkup. The name of the disease was uterine fibroid, and the doctor told me that I would have to have my uterus removed completely. It was quite a shock to hear that, but there was no other way. I still wanted to watch my kids grow up, and there were still some things that I wanted to do. After consulting with the doctor and the kids, I agreed to have it removed. From next week for 5 days, I'll be gone. I informed Fred while I served him his dinner.
Huh? What are you saying?
I'm getting a surgery.
Yeah, but why for 5 days? What about money? How much does it cost?
It's all about money again. My husband was worried about money instead of me getting the surgery. Don't you worry about the surgery fee. I'll pay with the savings I made this whole time.
What? You have secret savings and you didn't tell me about it? So much for using my money, huh? I guess giving you $500 per month was too much. From next month, I'll only give you $300.
Anyways, I'll be gone from next week.
You eat all my money up.
I am no longer emotionally affected by these horrible words. Over the past 25 years, I was able to learn to ignore some things that Fred says. The day before the surgery, I was admitted to the hospital, and the next day the surgery was held and it was a success. While I was lying in bed, both our sons came running to me.
Mom, are you okay?
Yes, thank you. I'm fine.
But don't you look a little pale?
I guess so, but it's because I just woke up from the anesthesia. I'm sorry I worried you. I'm fine, so you can go back to work now.
Don't worry, we're both taking a half day off today.
Oh, really? Thank you.
Mom, do you want a hamburger? You must be hungry, right?
Oh my, you got it just for me? Thank you. But, I can only eat hospital food after my surgery. I'll just take it as a courtesy. Both of our sons worked hard and stayed with me until just before visiting hours were finished. They really both have grown up to be kind and gentle. But on the third day in the hospital, I received a call from Fred every 5 minutes. Thinking that maybe something wrong had happened to Fred, I let out a huge sigh. Yes, what is it?
You. How long are you going to be out of the house?
I'll be out of the hospital in 2 days.
No, I won't allow it. You better come home now.
Oh, please, don't be unreasonable. I can't leave the hospital yet.
I'm being forced to pay extra living expenses because you're slacking off on your house chores.
Oh, really?
I'll be collecting $200 from you.
$200 for being away from home for just 5 days? That's quite a wild estimate. Anyways, I'm in a hospital room right now and there are other patients around me, so I'll turn off my phone. I'll be back home in 2 days.
Hey!
This is the moment I realized once again what a noisy and inconsiderate person Fred is. I want to praise myself for having spent 25 years with this person. Well, I only have to hold on a little longer. I will be free once my kids get married. But first, let's have him give me back my little freedom back. When I returned home after leaving the hospital, my husband was waiting for me at home, even though it was weekday. Oh, you're here. But I knew that this would happen. My husband had taken time off from work just to blame me for everything I haven't been doing.
Hey, you sit here.
Please wait a moment. I'll wash my hands now.
I don't care about that. Hurry up and sit down.
No, I don't want to. If I get an infection from this, I'll have to blame you. My husband then waits for me while tapping his foot non-stop. Well then, thank you for waiting.
$200.
Ah, yes, that's right. Here you go. My husband snatched the money out from my hand. What a crude person he is.
Tell me how you're reflecting about what you had done this time.
Reflecting? Well, I can't say that this is all due to ignoring about my health, and it's really hard to say that food had anything to do with it. If I had to say this, then I'd say that it was destined to happen.
What are you talking about?
Yes, I'm just saying that I've been reflecting about this illness I had.
That's not what I meant.
Oh, well, what else should I be sorry for?
I was talking about how you skipped out on your house chores.
Oh, that. Well, wait a minute. I think they should be home soon.
Huh? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about our kids.
Huh? Why are they coming back here?
I asked them to because I wanted them to see what was going on this time. And it's pretty important, you know. Then Fred began to grin. In my husband's mind, he probably thought that he can show off about what a father is like to the kids after a long time. People who only sees themselves and are just too selfish are easy to deal with because their actions are so simple and easy to read. 10 minutes later, both of our sons arrived, and our conversation resumed.
You seem awfully excited. Well, I'll listen if you want to talk first. Listen up, boys. Don't ever get a wife like your mother here. You'll just have a hard time.
A hard time? Like what?
Like how you are right now. You oppose against me every single time.
I just want to know how you're feeling and what you're thinking about. If we are a couple, then it is only natural that we want to know about each other.
Well then, you better understand one thing here.
Go on, tell me.
Next time you ignore to do your chores, then we will get a divorce.
Oh my!
You'd be in trouble if we get a divorce, right? You have no other family and you're a loner, right?
I have no other family and I'm a loner, huh? I see how it is. My husband, Fred, placed the divorce papers on the table in front of me confidently.
Oh, so it is all filled out. Whoa, it's true.
Our kids looked at each other and instantly began to take action.
Huh?
Our kids snatched the divorce papers in their hands quickly. You want to divorce me, right?
Huh? Oh, yeah, that's right. If you're going to skip and ignore to do any house chores, I'm divorcing you.
Fine.
Huh?
Let's get a divorce. The reason I had the kids come over today was to discuss about divorcing you. I was going to wait until the kids were married before divorcing you, but you seem to want a divorce now, and look at the kids' faces. They seem to agree with the divorce too, so I will file these divorce papers.
No, wait a minute. How are you, a housewife, going to live all on your own after divorcing me? Don't pretend to act so strong.
Do you really think that just $500 a month will cover the pension, tax, insurance, and all that, plus food and utilities? It's impossible. I've been working since the day when you removed me from your support system. Oh, don't worry. I have no intention of receiving any property from you with your small salary. The fact that you gave me these divorce papers is enough as a gift from you. Well then, I'll pick up my belongings on another day.
Hey, wait! What kind of work are you doing?
I'm an editor. One of the author I'm in charge of is the author of a piece that you plagiarized. Well then, please take care.
Wait a minute.
My husband tried desperately to snatch the divorce papers away, but my kids' defenses were much more stronger. My second son tackled him, and we were able to leave the house without any problems. And my divorce was successfully finalized. But my ex-husband was a man who was obsessed with money until the end. When he found out that I earned more than he did, he insisted on sharing common property. Well, it was what I had expected anyways. He destroyed my last act of mercy with his own hands. I hired a lawyer and told my ex-husband that I was suing him for financial abuse and moral harassment. He flatly denied that this was all true, but when I provided him with the family financial book, which had a record of the whole 25 years, he caved in easily. He desperately pleaded me to spare him only a trial, but there was no need to listen to him. I sued him without mercy. The result was an overwhelming victory. He had been spending his hard-earned money on other things, and so he could not afford a decent lawyer, and the case was settled almost entirely on our terms. In the end, he ended up having to pay me $20,000 as alimony without getting any of the common property. If he had quietly backed down, there would have been no consequences. I felt as if my 25 years had been paid off just with $20,000, but basically, I have absolutely no regrets about marrying him. In fact, I am more grateful. It is because of him that I was able to meet such wonderful kids. After the divorce, my ex-husband seems to be in frequent contact with the kids, but they would tell me that they will never see him again. That's true. My ex-husband has never cooperated with the kids in any way. I don't think they will ever open up to him, even if he comes on to them now. He contacted me once, but after court, I never had anything to do with him again. I didn't answer the call and I rejected it. What I am looking forward to now is that my kids are getting married and having grandchildren. I will save my money so that I can do all kinds of things for my grandchildren. This is exactly what you would call a satisfying middle-aged divorce. I fully respect Judy's enduring attitude. I hope you will be able to live a stress-free life from now on. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.